Thanks for joining us. This is the first week of the new year, and we're back to discuss our biggest mistake of last year in a week filled with new people and new goals. Welcome to another episode of the Straight Shot Post podcast. I'm your constant host, Dale Arroyo, CEO of the company, and along with me here is Grace, our chief of staff. It is 2023. I feel like last year, just in the blink of an eye, it flew by. We had such an interesting year in general. We took this lovely week off between Christmas and New Year's, which, I don't know. I guess I want to start there about how was your break? Because I like kind of what I suspected is it was good for a few days and then I was just bored. But I did actually, I think I enjoyed it more than I thought I was. How was your break?
It was nice. I feel like that this is the next installment or the weekly installment of Is Grace an Introvert or Extrovert? But I plan to meet a bunch of my friends in Jersey. I'm from Jersey. And I met my dad's girlfriend, the family. And we spent Christmas together, and it was my first time spending a Chinese Christmas, which was really interesting. Very lively, I guess. That's not something I'm used to. If anything, I'm used to the Japanese culture that's much more quiet and low-key, and they don't even really celebrate Christmas. So we had a bunch of Chinese food, and then, yeah, it was cool. And then I slept over at two of my friends' houses, and then they asked me if I wanted to sleep over one more night, and I considered it. And I was like, yeah. And then the doom started setting in. I was like, oh no, I miss my bed. I miss my routine. I miss my nutrition. So I decided not to stay, and then I came back here. And then I don't know, I just discovered that I loved chilling like a grandma. I basically just did puzzles, drank my tea, watched movies. I finally got to watch a bunch of movies.
Do tell.
I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was so good. So good. So creative. And I saw exactly what you meant about it, where it's like it can be ridiculous as long as it's executed correctly. And I'm like, it could have easily been a really bad movie.
Yes.
I can see how it could have been really bad.
Yep.
But they did it well. I watched some of Bullet Train. I didn't finish it though because the people I was with weren't interested and they just stopped it, and I was like, hey, okay, fine. That was my week off. But then on New Year's Eve I met friends, and I didn't go clubbing, but I stayed up till 6:30 a.m. just chatting and watching the sunrise. So that was a little extroverted. Yeah, that was my week off. So I feel like I said that to you and you were like, now I feel like maybe you are introverted.
Yeah, but then you go back, it's like, all right, you look over a whole year. You have your moment. You're allowed. Yeah, no, I was with family. I had a very extroverted week. It was like I went out to see family every night. There was board game nights. There was lots of drinking, lots of sweets, lots of Puerto Rican food, which is just heavy on the heart. It was very good. We played folk music at a local local Puerto Rican restaurant too. I think that was one of the highlights of the week for sure. I grew up a drummer, so I played congas with the family. We played my grandfather's music. It was beautiful. And then, I got to play some video games. Really, I just played a lot of TFT, if anybody is a fan of League of Legends. Then, as you know, I've been obsessed with AI, so I hung out with Midjourney and ChatGPT, and we came up with some wicked ideas and did a lot of character designs. That ended up being that. But I think the diet is the biggest difficulty that I have when I go home. It's so hard to just eat things that I'm comfortable with. And then I also get the other thing, which I try really, really hard never to do stuff like this, but I see my father eating sausage and ketchup or something, and I'm just like, for the love of God, I want you to be here for a long time, bro.
Forever.
Why?
Not everybody wants to live forever. I know you hate that.
This is okay. If we're about to talk about AI and weird shit, here's the thing. Whoever, people, listeners, if you think that you don't want to live forever, my automatic response is, wouldn't you at least want the choice? Like we say that, but we're not, until we're on our deathbed. How are we even gonna know? Like I'm sure. And I think it's different for everybody. Like, I have stuff to do now, you know? I'm not going to get it all done in the next, hopefully, 60 years. So it's like, that's the way I look at it. Just to be clear.
Yeah.
I'm not definitely not telling anybody. I'm not saying, hey, you should be trying to live forever. That's what you should be doing. No, I'm just saying that I'm trying to do it because I want to at least be healthy enough when those options arise, which for those who are listening, it's probably in the next 2 generations that things like that will not be science fiction. It'll be a conversation. So yes. Don't be throwing me under the bus like that. No context. And here we are. We're back. I was so excited to get back to work. You know, I was ready. I was, the other thing that I don't really get to do at home is my workout routine, especially because like, there's so many different things going on. So really, I definitely like missed the routine that I have, the waking up and the working out and just like the feeling of being productive, I guess. It's pretty hard to shake that one.
I was definitely scared to come back, as I always am. With anything, I was always scared to go back to, school. That was the only thing I've ever had to go back to. And I would I would have a mental breakdown before every semester. Like, had to always, without doubt, cry before I start school again. Every time my mom's like, again? And I'm like, I don't want to go. But then once I get back into the groove of things, because I hated school. I hated elementary through high school so much. I was not a fan of school. And part of it might have been like because I was pushed down so far down like a science path, like an advanced science path, and I really didn't like that. So, and then in college, I liked college a lot, but I still got the same feeling just because of the overwhelming responsibility and like, you know, like the rush that was going to come.
If you didn't have to work, if you could do anything on the planet,
oh my God,
what would you do?
Oh my God, I've never thought about that. Is this already the question game? You're going to throw me for a loop. This is you asking me. I should change my background to space because you just kicked me into space.
Did not mean to trigger you. I just was curious by the way that you're talking about it. It's like, you know.
What would I do? See, that's the thing that confuses me, though, is because I will cry about it. But then once I'm in it, I'm like, oh, I love it. So, like, I didn't cry before coming back to work this year. But I did, like, have a moment of dread. But maybe it's more that I don't like the deadlines and the pressure.
The stress?
The stress. Yeah, the obligations. And I put so much stress on myself. And I, like, don't know how to handle it. So I dread that.
We had a particularly... especially if you haven't gone through the holiday rush like that, we had a particularly stressful fourth quarter. So maybe it's just like, you know, you thought you were coming back to Straight Shot post December. I hope it is in earlier episodes when I talked about how I warned the team about the how, like, you know, it gets a little crazy during the holidays. I'm not surprised, but like even with that warning, I don't think people were really prepared. Very proud of the team for getting through it, and I definitely think this year is going to be a lot easier because they know what to expect. Of course, I tried, of course, this week. I tried to get out of doing the quarterly one-on-ones just because.
Yeah,
talking a lot is one of my. You know, I do love my team. Don't get me wrong, and I'm happy to give them what they need, but like, there's so many different things going on right now, and I just thought we had done so much talking last quarter. I was like, no, dude, they're like, it'll be 10 minutes. I'm just gonna like give them a kick in the butt and they're off to go, you know. But yeah, I'm glad that you fought me hard on that one. So now I am doing them for context.
Too. Yes. And you wanted to, I agree that it feels like very often. And I feel like it'd be nicer for it to be trimesterly, like once every 4 months instead. It feels like not much has changed since last quarter, but when I look at the old quarterly reviews, I'm like, wow, like so many different people are here. I don't know, different things were going on. So
yeah, I mean, it's good. There's a reason why, there is a reason why we do them. They've been important, even almost to just like recenter people and like kind of get them back into like, oh yeah, like that's right, this is a job, and to get them just back into the groove. We talk on a daily basis, yes, about projects, about deadlines, about strategy, about making things happen, but we don't talk. So that's why it feels tough, because I'm always talking to them, but really we don't talk about a lot of the stuff that we talk about in those meetings, right? We don't talk about personal interactions or how we feel about things. So it is important.
Because you're like mentioning how you do talk to them a lot and you see them a lot and you're like, they can always bring something up with me, but I guess I realize that it's hard for that to happen, and you need to like set up that space to be like, this is the time to only talk about that stuff, and then people open up.
I might complain, but we'll do them every quarter or trimester or whatever we decide is best. But like now, I think I'm committed to it.
Yay!
Yeah, it's just the beginning of this year. Just to be clear, it's so much talking. It was onboarding all week long, just new people.
We have
this is the company.
How many new interns? Almost 7.
It's a good amount of new interns
4,
because
5.
We decided this year we kind of stopped taking them last year because so many things were in flux. But now that we have enough of a organization, we basically have like, I guess, 2 per department, so there's at least 6, right? Which is which is already it's a lot more than 0 or 1. I think we had maybe.
Yeah.
That was a lot. We also have 3 new people joining the team in different capacities, and in addition to that, not just joining the team, but in a brand new field that I have no idea, that we're entering. So we're in that experimental phase. We're figuring things out, and so I could, for me, it's been just oddly enough, an extremely busy week.
Me too. I have been nonstop, and like after every day, I guess this is what you do. You just like, I don't know.
Yes.
You just can't think anymore. You just sit back and you're like, whoa, what just happened to me?
Yes.
Which is honestly something I kind of missed. That's why I like the first few days back, I was like, oh, this is not bad at all. Like I missed this constant. It is like constant. It feels like a game of like trying to like. I feel like I'm your bodyguard, and then it's like constantly trying to like word people from you, and I'm like, this is your answer, here's your answer, but also I'm trying to do taxes over here, but like here's your answer, and then like I'm like on a Google Meets with you guys, and then you're like, we have a system where like I'm always in the background of the Google Meets that Dale is in, and then if he needs my attention, he'll like type 1 in the chat, and then I'll hear it, and then I'll like come and be like, what's up? But otherwise, I'm in the background, and then I'm, like, taking a call here, like, calling, I don't even know who, the state. And it does feel like a game.
It's definitely, yeah. I do feel like coming back, though, it's with the onboarding and stuff, I guess, like, we level up, Like, I feel like I did it better now, and I think I have less, like, worrying stress now, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not panicking when somebody doesn't get it because there's like enough people to like cover it up. So like, for example, our new project manager didn't send, she's working on her email game, and I'm like, yes, it's like bad, but it's not that bad. Not if it was the only project manager that I had, or there was no backup like it's been in the past. Right. So now it's nice to be able to afford people more room to get better and to improve. And I'll just add one more sort of fun thing is that we hired one of the interns from last semester who edited this podcast all last semester. So oddly enough, normally when I go in and I do my first reviews with people, it tends to come off, pretty intense, I guess, compared to like what they're used to. And I have no idea what his impression was, but it seemed like he took everything in stride. And then I think I realized it's probably because he's way more used to my energy because he's edited 10 hours of content at least, which I think is just funny because I already know that I'm the kind of person that you kind of I warm up to people. People don't tend to really get me right off the bat, you know? And so that felt a little bit easier than normal, which is pretty funny.
I was looking at next week and already feeling very overwhelmed because
for you or for me? Because like now
for both. Huh. I mean, it's mostly for you, kind of. I'm like, it was like in scheduling all of the week. I was like, there's so much going on now, because before it was kind of just like Snap reviews and then some client things that you'll look at. But now there's reviews for Snap, client, and then for studios content and some social media content. And on top of that, we're doing market hire and the Bureau of Small Projects, all of this rebranding stuff, and they're giving us homework for that, so we got to do that.
You know, there's a whole conversation. Everybody tries to warn me about burnout and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I just want people to let me figure it out. Like, I'm very controllably... It's not like we're doing things without thought behind it, you know? I guess that's another thing that kind of is tough sometimes when I go home, because we get into these kind of weird conversations where it's like, when I tell people like what we do, they, for some reason, they're just so like, I guess, cynical, or like, I'll give you an example, and we can lead into this because oddly enough, we did make a mistake, which we haven't figured out yet. But basically, I was explaining to my parents, like, hey guys, that we reinvested in the company, and it didn't matter what I said. They were like, are you sure? I don't know if that was the right. And I'm like, dude. And they're like, do we just care about you? And then I realized, like, I know that you just want me to be happy and safe. And that when you start hearing the numbers and all these things, that it's like, it's becoming real. And so it's hard to say to anybody when we're talking about throwing around $50K that it's safe. Unless you do this. Unless you're speaking to another entrepreneur who has done it successfully, who like understands where you're at, especially because we found out when we got back that we did mess up our massive genius tax plan.
Yes.
So I'm going to sum this up. We had a good year last year. We made a good amount of profit, which sounds awesome until you recognize that the more money that you make, the more money you're going to owe in taxes. Now, I'm not saying don't pay your taxes. What I'm saying is you're paying taxes on money that you keep, and we're a young company, and we have so many ways to reinvest it in the company that it would be silly to not use that money on the company, okay? And we only had about 2 months to figure out how to make these reinvestments because we're new at this and we stink and we figured it out. But we had the numbers crunched like 50 times to figure out what was going to be like the final number of the year and what we had to spend. And there's definitely a couple of things we learned about that. I will start and say, number one, credit counts. Because
oh my gosh, yeah.
Yes.
You know what happened? Actually, that like I thought that, so like we paid a bunch of things with the credit card, and I thought we had to pay it off before the end of the year for it to count. And then I did it for most of the credit cards. I forgot one credit card, and then I was like, oh,
one credit card with $25,000 on it, so it was not a little thing. Yes.
Yeah. And then we were all like, oh no. And then then I paid it. I mean, I paid it after like the new year started. Not that counts. But then afterwards, I noticed that the bank auto paid it. So now we're in like a negative. That's another thing I learned. I was like, I mean, I guess it's not bad to be in a negative. It'll just
don't
fill itself up eventually. But I was like, what?
That's because Bank of America is whack. And fight me in the comments. Bank of America is whack. I can't wait to get rid of them. They don't care about us.
Capital One, all the way.
I like Capital One and Chase. Yeah, but Capital One has been really good. So yes, what we found out was that credit counts, which was nice because we were kind of bugging out about that. And then also somehow we misestimated by $50,000, right?
$50K, yeah.
Which how? We still don't even know the answer. We don't know.
I feel like it's somewhere that has to do with all of these state taxes, and that I overestimated them. Because I don't know about taxes,
And honestly, we actually tend
it could be.
typically when we budget in general, we always
Over budget.
yes, over budget. There's a good chance that we're going to find some things there that we missed. Because I'm pretty sure we're in December. You were telling me that dude, we're way too under. We overshot it. You got to stop spending. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So like clearly things, hopefully we're going to spend some time to really learn this year how to better handle it. Another huge, like this changed everything for me. I don't know if people know this. Everybody thinks that you got to try to fight to be in a lower bracket, right? Like, I need to make less money so I won't get taxed on. But that's not actually how it works. You're only getting taxed on the money that is in that bracket. $0 to $25,000, you don't get taxed. From 20 to about 80, he said, you get taxed 10%. But then if you make above 80, let's say it's only the extra money above 80 that gets taxed at a higher percent. Not like the whole pie, once you break into a new bracket, gets taxed on that percentage. And I was like, wait, what? So now I'm even more like, man, everybody's fighting over this, and it doesn't make nearly as much of a difference as they thought, Yeah.
It was a good lesson.
It was huge because then I was like, oh, so we were trying to figure out how to, then it didn't really matter like how much we say, like what bracket we were in. But I hope you understand why I kept saying to you, like, it doesn't matter. The more we spend, technically, the better always. Like, it's safer in that regard.
Yeah.
It definitely was a big learning experience for us. And now we're here.
Just for me, just for my feelings, let's say we were off by $45K.
Whatever you want. I'm not looking anymore. Okay. All I want to know is how we messed up. That's what I care about more than anything.
Yeah. It'll take me a while to get to that because this week has been taxes again. I was doing a bunch of taxes.
Yeah, we're going to be getting an HR service. That's going to happen soon.
That'll be my Christmas. Oh my God. I can't wait.
For anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur, I'd say the big difference between last year and this year is last year we were very reactive. Opportunities came our way. We put our head down. We did our best. It worked out. But then we popped our heads up, realized we had this profit, and rushed to spend as much of it as we could in the right place. Okay? We got branding. We got marketing, which, by the way, one of our clients emailed me today and say, hey, I want to make sure this is legit because I'm going to fill out this form. So they're doing what they're doing. The branding company's reaching out to our clients.
Awesome.
They're reaching out to our clients to get feedback from them as they build whatever they're going to be building for us. And so the big difference is that this year we're going to be adjusting our monthly spending so that we don't come up against what happened last year. Basically, The
only scary thing is because of how inconsistent the commercial work is, it's hard to, estimate how much we're making. And I'm just going off of an average like a monthly average from last year, but it's still so varied by month. So
yes, and
that makes the monthly expenses hard to.
Yeah, and it you guys have to remember like the last quarter is where you make a good chunk of the money, and the first quarter is just dead. So it's even tougher when we had these plans and then all of a sudden no money's coming in. Like emotionally, it's difficult, and you have to sit there and go like, trust the process, like like just trust the numbers, bro. Like you have enough data. This money's coming in. You had this in savings, and it can be very hard to trust that, especially now in a recession with everything going on. We're gonna trust the numbers, and then we are already prepared for quarter two for us to tighten the belts.
Right. So we're gonna do like a pretty, plan to spend in January, and then see.
Yeah, we're gonna stay on offense, but we're so ready for this year to be tough, and we have everything prepped from last year for the tough times, so that makes me feel better for sure.
What we just said about our finances, it's probably to someone who's experienced literally so obvious. I feel like we said such obvious things. Oh, it's hard to predict, like duh. So I hope we look back on this and laugh.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. You gotta Yeah, you gotta take guesses, and you have data, and you gotta use the data, and you gotta take educated guesses in order to move forward. Because I don't actually think it's that risky. If we're gonna talk on the sort of risk. It's not that risky because we hedged.
Yeah.
We're always, whatever decisions we're making is after we've hedged against the worst case scenario. So we know exactly what to do if things don't work out. We decide how long we're going to try new things. So like, just for people who know, it's not like I'm going in blind or that I'm going in unaware. I'm being realistic about things. I'm just being confident about it. And then also having the fail safes for if it doesn't work out. And then I'm and it's kind of loosening me up. Last year I was definitely operating from like a place of fear for sure. So like, hopefully this year we could do a little better. And that also brings me to a great conversation we had. We're working with Market Hire. I just have to highlight this because I think it's really unique. And I was asking Grace, like, man, do you think I could be the kind of CEO that does this someday? But basically, this guy's got a really successful tech company, Market Hire, and they pair you with, they're basically a recruiting firm, I guess, that works with freelance marketers and pairs them with companies. So we sign with them. And then we get an email from their CEO, and I thought it was just automated. And it was like, very class. Thank you for working with us. This is, I started the company 3 years ago, and it's our, just the normal shtick. And then at the end of the email, though, it was like, hey, and if you'd ever like to get on a call, feel free to email me. I'm happy to get on a call and chat it up. I was like, what? Yeah. Yeah, I have no agenda, by the way. I just was like, Grace, this CEO just offered for a call. Like, we're taking it. Set it up. I don't care when or how, but of course I want to talk to another guy who's like done this successfully. And I just had a feeling too, because of about how far they've scaled and stuff. And I was like, okay, his company must be around here, as far as like revenue and stuff in my head. And I was like, he's a good bit ahead. So time I have that opportunity, I'm going to take it. To my surprise, he quickly responded and it was set up within a week. And we just spoke with him like 2 days ago. And it was actually a call. It was not like a cheesy, just like 2-word thing. No, he gave us 30 minutes of his undivided attention.
On his phone on a walk. And it was like talking to, like getting advice from a friend, kind of.
It was so nice. Awesome. So shout outs.
And like to your point, what you were saying before about, talking to family or anyone who's not doing what you're doing, and then versus like their reaction of like, are you sure, versus talking to someone like this. It's such a different response, and it's like they get it, man. And they're like, and also, you're
also
doing the
someone
right
who's where it's not generic, but like we had a great conversation about profit margins because I only learned what that was last year, and he was explaining to me why different industries might have different ones and how to assess what's best for you, for our company. I mean, it was just remarkable, and I really, and then at the end he said, honest to God, like feel free. You can, to reach out, to ask me questions. It's something that I'm really trying to do, at his point in his life. This is his second successful company. He already sold his first one as a retail sneaker company, he said, right? And I was just so impressed with, I don't know, man. It's like, I think I'm busy. What is his life like? And then, he has the time to sort of give back and stuff like that.
You said that, and then I thought, what if maybe as you get further along, like you just get less busy? I mean, you could keep being busy and building new businesses, but if you didn't, you could just be chilling.
Maybe, man. But he's only, it's incredibly impressive if he's not involved after only being around 3 or 4 years in the company. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like, that's all. Yeah. That's the way I'm like, there's no way there's no way it's like completed. Like, as far as like he must be in, that's my guess. But maybe it's his second company. So maybe like once it took off, he knew exactly what to do. And then, maybe he does have that time. But I was very impressed with the whole thing and super, super grateful. So like I did ask him, maybe this is another good piece of value for you guys. Like I asked him, hey man, how many people actually take you up on the offer to call you? Right. And he's like, not that many. And I was just like, they're so silly. Because literally you're going to, it's a B2B thing. Like you're going to his company I mean, I guess if you're like if you're just a high level marketer hiring freelance marketing, I get it. But like anybody in my position should do it without a question. Like any opportunity, you take it. Like people pay hundreds of dollars for opportunities to speak to successful CEOs to get information. So it was wonderful. And sort of wraps up this week in such like this week has been all about sort of meetings and talking. I'm definitely doing different things than I was last year already. It's all onboarding. And there's also a lot of direction changes with some of the content. So there's like, that's the new stuff to tackle. So it doesn't feel like I'm stepping right into where I was, which was way more about efficiency and deadlines and hiring. We were doing lots of hiring, basically. Yeah. So like, it's just a different thing. I don't know. There's something freeing about starting something new. You don't know what it is yet. You don't know, so like, for me, I'm always in the future. Like, I think everything is, I'm an optimist. I'm like, this is going to work. I haven't hit any of the truly hard stuff yet with any of it. But I think there's something fun about starting something new. It is scary, but.
Oh yeah, but that's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
So that's what like this quarter is. New people, new content, and I'm excited for it. What about you?
What's the same and what's different?
Yeah, and like, what are you excited about this year?
I mean, this time last year, I was an intern. I was only there 2 days a week, and I was really only just sending client invoices or something like that. Now I get to like interact with everyone, which I really is it throws me into the extrovert category again. But getting to be a part of all of the meetings and seeing all of the different teams going, I love the variety of that, and it's stimulating.
Hey, I will add to that. We're building a new content arm, but it's not nearly as, I don't know, intense, scary, or whatever as what we did as like building the Snapchat arm, which is so like to me now meeting with my producer and the writer, they're probably freaking out. I if I were them, it's certainly overwhelming. It's a lot that I'm asking of them, but I'm just like, I know I did this. I did it once already.
But also we're setting our own, we did it once already. We're setting our own timeline. Yeah. I feel like, that's a big thing, and we have full control of everything. Yeah. That's different. Yeah.
And also it's like, our philosophies, our methods, but it just feels good to be able to say, just copy everything from the Snap Asana. Just talk to Brittany and, you know what I mean? Yeah. Talk to Brittany about how we archive all that stuff. Like that is just where I'm like, so much like, yes, there is a lot that we can take from how we do one thing and bring it to another. And that feels good because that was kind of the idea of the company, was like how the central process of how we tell stories can permeate through the whole company, a la Pixar. Here you go. There's your Pixar reference for the week. And that feels kind of good. So hopefully I can be the confident force for them while they embark on this, all this new stuff.
You would always say this is the year of systems. And we set a lot of systems in place.
I wonder what this year is going to be like. The benefits. Ooh, this is going to be the year of AI. No, I don't know. I'm gonna. We'll come back to that. That's a good question. Yeah. Okay, because I was very big on that. What is it the year of?
Well, you said the year of systems and marketing last year, and then we're getting.
It was you're right. So it was the summer of systems. That was the big thing. That's right, and we'll see what this year is. I definitely think content is going to be a big one for sure this year. AI is actually going to be a big one as we're looking and reaching into that. We didn't dig too much into that in this episode, but I'm gonna bring that up because 100% it's gonna be a big part of how we develop and aid us in telling stories. The only thing I'll say now is like while I do think in the future we'll be replacing people to some degree, I can tell you that the best way to think about it is a powerful tool to help accelerate your skill in your craft. So I'll dig into this more, but like I said, I had developed some characters. Like I can curate and I can at least figure out and now give to my illustrator, give him a really good place to jump off from. Most of the time it's very hard to describe what's in your head, especially if you can't draw, right? So now it makes it so easier to just talk to them and say, look, these are things I love already. And it's just extra cool that I generated them basically, with the help of the bot. So lots to say there. And but I think we should wrap this one up, as I'm sure we'll have eventful weeks as we dig into new technologies and new departments.
And you know what? I actually have a question this week.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm ready.
Is there a life hack? I mean, the life hack is AI, guys.
Oh.
Get on. Let's just keep it simple. If you haven't looked it up yet, Midjourney, ChatGPT, DALL-E, OpenAI, Stable Diffusion, you name it, do your research. It's going to change the world. I mean, it is already changing the world. So if you haven't heard of it, please, especially if you're a creative, like you got to know these things. So there's your life hack. Thank me later or fight me in the comments. Yeah, it sounds like you want to go first.
Yeah, I will go first. Would you rather have more time or more energy, and why? I feel like I know the answer, but I don't know the why in depth.
Time. Because with enough time, like, you'll make up for the energy that you don't have. It's got to be time. Time is always going to be the answer. Yeah, like if you have infinite time and you're doing it twice as slow, it won't matter.
I asked a bunch of people about the energy, this question, and they said everyone I asked said energy. Of all ages. They were ranging from 30 to 60-year-olds. They all said energy. And they were like, yeah, this goes back to, they're all like, I don't need to be like a withered old, like 100-year-old. Like, I just want to, in my lifetime, have more energy. And I'm fine with that. And then I'll be content.
Okay, that's very interesting because it's like, I guess in my head, I'm like,
you have more time to get to the place where you can live forever. And then you just can.
Yeah. Well, that's the question is like, I think the difference is what their version of low energy is and like mine. I mean, if it's like, if you're thinking like low energy, I can't move or do anything, that's different, obviously. I'm just thinking
no,
like.
It's more energy from where you are now. Like, add energy on top of what you have.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Bro, if it is me now, I mean, I have my shit on lockdown. I'm like, as far as like I work out, I sleep well, I eat well when I'm on my game. And so I'm doing all the major things. Like, at half of my current energy level, yeah, of course, bro. Time is the most valuable asset. Like, with enough time, you can figure everything. Dude, with enough time, we're going to figure out how to get the energy back. Or manipulate it, or fabricate it, or offload it. Like, there's a million.
That's some next level thinking. Oh my god.
With enough time, you could do anything. Like, theoretically. It'll look like this, right? They'll have all this energy. I'll be all crippled, and then I'll invent something, and then like they're gonna continue to have this energy but not know what to do with it, or die, and then I'm chilling because I figured out an infinite source of energy. At some point in the future, like, right? Oh, silly. I love
that's
these
not guaranteed though. That's why it's so hard.
That's what people think, but
it is.
What's possible. It's pretty, like, the thing is, if you know it's possible, that's what I'm saying. It's
literally not guaranteed. It's possible, but it's not guaranteed yet.
Have you heard the recent? Yet. Yes, but like, for example, there's a lot of recent conversations about fusion energy, which will change the game. 5G networks is going to change the game. AI is going to change the game. Right?
But
space exploration is going to change the game. But that's I understand. Maybe that's what it is. It's just people who aren't realizing that that the time span of our life is a blip, So if you can that's what it is. Like, my generation, we've seen more, and it's exponential. You have to think about it that way. So the longer you live, the faster technology is going to move. Or if you're born later, right?
This still doesn't change the fact that it hasn't happened yet, so it's not a guarantee yet, even though that's where we're headed.
No, I know what you're saying. They're going with the thing that they can feel now.
They know.
This is a short-term answer. Yeah, yeah.
And that's
Which
the
is funny,
SP in the people, like the ISTJs or
so?
whatever. Probably.
I want you
it's
to
your
ask
N
the
that's
whole
like,
company because now I'm curious. Just for fun.
Oh. Okay. It's a great question. I love it. Anyway, yeah.
Okay, that was a good one. Curious if what others will think. And my question for you: which was your favorite alternate reality in Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Oh, I mean, okay, I have to think about them. Because, like, immediately the sausage fingers popped in my head, but I don't
That's
know
what
if
I thought
like
you were going to
my
say.
favorite. No, The Rock. The Rock was my favorite.
Oh, okay. The Existential
The
Rocks
Rock.
is pretty good.
That was, and then I understood what you meant by that, where you were like, wow,
They
you can
earned
make
the right to
a
be
scene with
artsy
rocks.
fartsy. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
I mean, I thought The Rock with the text was funny, but I mean, it's like, would I want to be there? No, but I mean, that wasn't the question. But
No, it was like which one did you enjoy? Yeah, which one was your favorite?
Did
Did you enjoy the
watching?
most? Yeah.
But what was there? I'm like, there's the
rocks, the fingers, the
there's the Raccoonatui.
Raccoonatui. There's like just like the kung fu version of her that's like a bad fighter.
Oh yeah, the opera singer.
Oh, and the
sure.
the opera singer, which was the In the Mood for Love one, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to say my two favorites. And those were dope, like fighting with her pinky and all that. That I do think. What really got me was the rocks, but what was so lovely and how weird it was the sausage fingers. Like every scene with that, like they start playing piano with their toes. I was like, this is genius.
I gotta say that Jamie Lee Curtis is what makes that movie. She killed it. What a weird role, and the commitment to it just sold the whole thing in. Honestly. Good stuff all around. Good movie. Good week of work. Let's wrap this bad boy up. As always, work hard, be nice, and keep changing. We'll see you next week.